moves with no regard for human life.
Deshaun Jackson gets a block. Are you kidding?
And a steal. Miller retreats to the three-point line and hits again.
Pacquiao! Oh, you beauty! What a headshot! What a head!
Welcome to the No Regard podcast. My name's Nathan Bleakley.
I'm Marcelo Lucha.
Alright, big week in sports, big day in sports that we have to talk about.
Hey man, it's been a huge week in sports, alright? This has probably been the busiest week of the year.
Definitely, so far.
Like, especially for the career of the No Regard podcast, this has been the biggest week,
This has just been like just
Episode
racking up
5 coming at you, bro.
Milestones, boys. Alright.
Hey, give us some props, Nathan. We're still kicking.
We're still kicking.
5 episodes in, a lot of bloopers in the
Exactly.
podcast. I don't want to bring anything up.
Oh.
Anything up in the Asian region with the boxing. Yo, I'm taking shots early, bro. Let's get this podcast started. Okay, first topic.
Okay.
Mayweather Pacquiao.
Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao,
You caught this at the Boundary. I had to watch this on a TV.
Okay, I caught this like massive crowd at the Boundary, packed the rafters, so many TVs going, whereas you were watching it from just behind the TV.
Don't get it. Alright, Alright, so what were your reactions? Okay, let's not even talk about the fight. The hype.
The hype was like they didn't even go that hard for promotion, really. Like I don't think that's.
Are you kidding me?
In terms of actually like throwing it, like they didn't really need to. It's like the names of the actual. Like it was what everyone else did that created the hype so much.
Like who?
Well, it was pushed a lot by like pretty much boxing analysts. Like you saw just by the amount of money being thrown around. Like they didn't advertise it as the $300 million fight in the posters, but that was what was getting everyone talking pretty much.
No way, man. Are you kidding? Dude, the money... Okay, the money had something to do with it.
No, that brings in like the casual fan. That's what brought in a lot of casual people, how much this fight was worth.
I don't know, man. I disagree. Are you kidding? It's like, what? You're saying if $300 million was on the line, it'd attract a lot of people. Yeah, I agree with you, but that's not like everyone watched
but I'm
it.
saying like boxing fans will not talk about the money that was being thrown around. But the people, like what I'm hearing from people who don't usually follow boxing, a lot of people are talking about the amount of money they'd make, the amount of money being thrown around in this fight.
You gotta talk to new people, man. This fight was about the underdog from the Philippines, right, Nathan?
From the Philippines.
Going up against the American hero, the American badass, Floyd Mayweather, right? Dude, you cannot tell me they didn't hype this up.
They did hype this up. It was a very hyped fight.
All I saw for like 4 months was Mayweather promotions in a little grey scale at the bottom of a video. In any video.
Video.
Oh my god.
Just watching Vines and Mayweather just puts his name all over it.
Exactly, right? So, I mean, they did hype it up. You saw Justin Bieber there, you know, Denzel Washington.
He got bigger boosts than Mayweather when we were at the Boundary.
Right.
Bigger boosts for Justin Bieber.
Right. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel was there too, right?
I think he was going at it a bit with Floyd just from the crowd.
Yeah.
Look, the actual fight.
Right, so let's get into the analysis.
Big hype, big build up to this. Probably anyone who was just a general sporting fan got intrigued by this fight.
Yeah.
Was it a letdown in terms of the actual fight, in your opinion?
In terms of
the actual fight itself.
So, okay, that's a 2-part question for me. Because you can look at it. Was it an enjoyable fight to watch? No. For me, are you kidding me? And if you paid $100 for this fight, I'm sorry, mate. Try and get a refund because that was the worst $100 you've ever spent.
The most poignant tweet I saw was from De La Hoya. His just 3 words in his tweet was "Sorry, boxing fans."
Yeah, exactly right. So, but then you look at it from a boxing the
legacy perspective.
No, well, not even like a technicality perspective. How well they boxed in their own ways, right?
Exactly.
So, like Mayweather, we knew it was going to be defensive, right?
It was exactly what we expected from the fight.
Yeah,
like
it's
we
not
all
a boring
went
fight.
in.
It's a Mayweather fight.
It's a Mayweather fight, and as you said, like it may not have been entertaining for the casual punter, but you're looking at it from terms of how well he defended during that whole fight and how tactical he was.
Yeah.
It was basically what he's done his whole career. It's the reason he's 48-0.
Right. And I mean, I was surprised in the early rounds. He came out swinging, you know. He hit Pacquiao with a few right hands. But
he got more aggressive in the later rounds, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think Pacquiao, for me, there was one round that really Pacquiao dominated.
Right. I mean, he shook Mayweather a few times. Man.
There has been a lot of backlash about the unanimous decision that allowed Floyd Mayweather to win the fight.
The arena went off. Like, when the decision was made...
Especially because he was standing
boos.
around just peacocking to the entire audience. Like,
Well, that's another thing.
yeah.
Let's not even get into that, because that's trash talking. You know I love trash talking. Trash
to
talking
me,
is
they're
my
like-
thing, bro. Mayweather, do your thing. You
That
gotta
isn't
talk.
trash. That's just... Well, that was trash. It wasn't trash talking, in my opinion. They were trash talking in the ring, which was fun to watch. What Mayweather was doing pre-decision, in my opinion, was just straight up just flaunting himself to the entire crowd.
No way, man! Oh, come on. You're really gonna get on Mayweather for that.
Definitely.
Like, I saw him pumping his fist before the match had even finished. Like, 10 seconds all left, he's pumping his fist in front of Pacquiao. Do it, man! I love it! That was probably the most exciting part of the whole damn match.
Definitely got the crowd livened up, I'll tell you that.
I mean, honestly, Mayweather's a genius, okay? In his own way. He knows how to make money.
And he obviously doesn't care about what people think of his style of fighting, because he's obviously doing well for himself. And shots that I'm taking are more at the way he acted during the fight. In terms of him being a professional, he can't be flaunted. Like, he's the best fighter of this generation. I'm not trying to floor him in that way. But I think there is a point, even with any sport, where overconfidence does get hard to watch for viewers.
But he won!
He won!
So he's allowed to talk trash. You know, this is why, like, I don't understand what you're trying to say, because, like, he won in the end. Bro, if I'm going one-on-one against you in football, like, if we're marking each other, I'm talking to you the whole game, man. It could be at penalties. We're going penalties to win it, or a golden goal or something. Before you've even taken the kick, I'm telling you, you're the worst player in the world. It's like, come on, man. Like, just a disclaimer, I don't like Mayweather, okay? I don't like him as a person.
Yeah.
But you can get on him for a million things, but you can't get on him for talking trash, man. Even to the crowd.
All right. So, unanimous decision to
Bull.
I reckon, especially one of the judges that judged it 118 to 110.
Mm-hmm.
I do not know what match he was watching.
Right,
Like,
I mean, okay, who won the fight for you?
Look, to me, the aggressiveness of Pacquiao was incredibly impressive, but in saying that, I was sitting there at the boundary and I was thinking, this is close. This is a close match, and there's going to be controversy whoever's picked.
Yeah.
Look, it was very close. Like,
Give me one of the other, Nathan.
No, I'm just saying, if we're talking about who won the most rounds, it's got to be, like, right there. Like, it's got to be, like, 6-6 or 7-5. Look, I was sitting in the boundary and I said it's going to be Mayweather by decision, because obviously he's gone 47-0. He's going to get the decision.
And that's what you predicted last week as well.
And it's been my whole lead up to the fight. This has been my policy. My head says Mayweather. My heart says Pacquiao. Like, even to after the fight. And Pacquiao came out and said in his post-match interview that he thought he won.
Yeah.
Like, he honestly, truly believed he won, and you can't floor him for that. Like, the way he fought, the aggressiveness of it, like, all the boxing experts were coming out and saying they thought Manny had won. Manny deserved to win. You could tell Mayweather was going to win by decision. I think everyone kind of picked it from the outset of the way the fight was going to be, the result of the fight, even the way each of them fought.
Yep.
I wish Manny won. That's all I'm going to say. I wish Manny won.
Right, I mean, because from the 11th round onwards, pretty much Pacquiao had to knock him down to win, in my opinion. Okay, for me, Mayweather did win the fight. But I don't have a problem. Okay, I do have a problem with the unanimous decision, because I think if they'd fought in Europe, that's a different decision, right? If they'd fought in, like, South America, Asia, that's a completely different decision. That doesn't happen. There was an American bias. Yeah, do you agree with me?
I agree.
Right.
Not necessarily in terms of the fact that Pacquiao was from the Philippines. I don't think it's in terms of that, but I think it's from the perspective of how much Floyd's influence is in America, and also like the kind of standard 47-0 set. Like, Floyd was coming in with a lot more to lose than Pacquiao. Pacquiao's lost before. He's had some horrific knockouts against him.
Yep. He's been knocked out cold, man.
But I think Floyd may have won the decision, but I think Pacquiao has become the people's champion.
Yeah.
In the aftermath of this match.
Right. So my next question is: do you think there's a rematch? Because Floyd Mayweather does have that clause in the contract. Pacquiao doesn't. So, okay.
Pacquiao will definitely fight again. Pacquiao will definitely come out and have some more fights, try and get back on his wavelength.
I mean, Freddie Roach said he wanted to fight again.
Oh, definitely. And props to Freddie Roach. He's done a brilliant job, like some of the personal struggles he had to go through. And now he did coach Manny to a brilliant performance, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, Freddie Roach does say a few things that like kind of get you a bit edgy
But
as well.
I think outspoken people has been everyone we've seen to do with this.
Camps.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't criticize Mayweather.
But everyone's got to,
outspoken.
as you said before, everyone's got to talk. Everyone's got to talk.
Exactly.
It's all about drama in boxing, from what we've seen.
Right. I mean, it gets the numbers up too.
Part of me, like, because I'm a huge sports romanticist, like I love seeing the drama.
So you want the fairy tales, right?
I love the fairy tales in sports, which is why Michael Jordan is probably my favorite basketball player.
Right.
Just couldn't write it better.
Mm-hmm.
I hope this should be Mayweather walks out and retires, because it can't get better from this perspective. But I think he'll try and go for 50-0. I think he'll keep fighting to try and go 50-0, but I'm not sure. Personally, I'm not sure if there'll be a rematch or not.
Right, because he can go 50-0, fight someone else, fight some nobody. Like
yeah, exactly.
He's done the other 48 matches.
He's a master at picking his fights.
Yeah.
Which is, like...
I mean, to begin with, like, this fight should have happened 5-6 years ago, right? Like, I know we don't even want to talk about it because it's like, what if, right?
Yeah.
And they're both not in their prime
Man,
anymore.
I saw some very poignant commentary that was saying, I only want to see a rematch if someone finds a DeLorean and sends us back to 2010. Like...
Yeah.
Yeah, these two weren't at their peak, but can't hop in a time machine. So
right, I mean, I think I had the fight score like 7-5 rounds. So I think they got it right, but not unanimous decision, man.
I reckon that the judging was brutal on Manny. They didn't give him the credit he deserved.
Right.
And it was just one of the rounds where like he was completely laying into Mayweather. But I think after that Mayweather switched it on, and he's like, all right, I have to pick it a lot better than I have been. Because to me, in the early rounds, he looked like he was fighting scared.
Yeah. Well, he was scared, man. Like, the whole time he's been scared for so long.
Can we talk about, like, the hug fest? Can we honestly talk about the hug fest?
Yo, Twitter went off, man. I was laughing my ass off at all this crap that was going on Twitter. They were attacking him like crazy.
Headlocks, like, hugs, just...
Yeah.
It wasn't an entertaining fight, but it was a momentous fight. And it was some very good tactical boxing from each side.
Yep.
Tactics-wise, obviously, Mayweather had the better of Pacquiao, and he's had the better of everyone for his entire career. But I reckon Pacquiao should have deserved more credit from the judges than he got.
Yeah. Did you put any money on this fight?
After engaging in probably about 10 consecutive losing Premier League multis, I've been discouraged from sport betting ever again in my life.
I just didn't know, man.
Yeah.
I see you less and less, like nothing goes on
Life
anymore.
advice from the No Regard podcast: do not take Premier League multis. You will lose every time.
I mean, unless you win the first one.
Unless you win the first one.
You got the touch, do it.
If you got the magic touch, do it, but I am not Midas. Everything I touch does not turn to gold. I'll tell you that.
Okay, well, let's stay in America. Something way more exciting. Can we just talk about this Game 7?
Okay.
Because that's what just happened.
I honestly had a personal dilemma these last 2 days. Clippers Spurs Game 7 or the Manny Pacquiao fight.
Well, good for us that the game finished before.
Yeah, and I think that
even
was very
started.
smart from the NBA. They're like, we're going to get this over and done with beforehand.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there watching the early quarters. Like it's honestly, I think this is the best first round series I can ever remember or ever even heard about. Like,
yeah,
this was, in my opinion, the second and third best teams in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Going mano-a-mano for 7 games, and you couldn't have hoped for a better series. And I think even though we had high expectations for this series, it surpassed all my expectations. I try to watch every game, and I really, really enjoyed this series.
Right, and I mean, I just want to mention Chris Paul, because some people have been attacking him. They're like, you know, because he got injured, right? His hamstring got injured.
They've been calling him a regular season player. Like, his whole career, he's been called a regular season player. Shows up in the regular season, can't get it done in the playoffs.
Yeah, but I wasn't even going there. I was going to say that people are saying that his injury wasn't even as bad as it seemed. Now, okay, maybe it wasn't, right? Maybe he was, like, dramatizing it a little bit. But even if he was, the shots that he was making were so good. Even if he was fully healthy in the prime of his life, those shots still would have been sick.
Exactly. Like,
he was clutching
I reckon
up.
this will go down as one of the performances of his career.
Mm-hmm.
It's always good to see when a player like Michael Jordan flu game, Dirk Nowitzki flu game. Whenever a player's coming in with adversity, with their body working against them, and they can get it done.
Or Paul Pierce in the wheelchair game.
Okay, I really wanted to bring that up. Okay, for people that don't know, go check Paul Pierce wheelchair on YouTube,
Paul
and
Pierce
you will
wheelchair.
see the best acting job. Like, if
Like Leonardo DiCaprio standard acting.
Should have gotten Oscar standard.
Yeah.
Like, jeez. But talking about actual injuries.
Yeah.
Just the game winner is probably, that's going to be the highlight of the first round for me. The game winner that he hit. There was some controversial refereeing at the end.
All right, so let's take the people back. You picked the Clippers in 7. I picked the Spurs in 7. Okay? Now,
no one's going to lay into anyone because that series could have gone either way at several points. But if you're going to talk about the Clippers being hard done by, the Spurs being hard done by in Game 7, you have to go back at these two games Game 2 and Game 5. So Game 2, Blake turns it over at the end when they're up 4 and pretty much chokes on the match. Like, chokes so the Spurs can send it to overtime.
Yep.
So they could have gone up 2-0 at that point. And then
obviously... he turned it over. That was his fault. That wasn't a ref's
then also
mistake.
the offensive interference one. DeAndre Jordan.
That was a good call.
It was a good call.
It was a correct call.
I'm just saying, two matches that the Clippers could have got were just tipped over by one act. And the Spurs won't have one going against them here.
No, okay, but those are two right decisions. The Spurs got
That
screwed.
Was a foul by Duncan. No,
it wasn't.
It was. He clipped his hand. He was taking the shot.
No way.
He was.
Are you kidding? So we've talked.
I was sitting there with Tim, and we both said it was a foul.
Well, Tim doesn't know what he's talking about, and neither do you. I'm calling you out, Tim Fred. How many times have we said in the latter part of the games, refs swallowed the whistle, right? Okay. And, it wasn't
They
a foul.
didn't swallow in Game 5 when DeAndre made that call.
Let's not talk about DeAndre Jordan. He needs to start hitting his free throws. Maybe the Clippers wouldn't even have, honestly.
Jordan.
Let's not even talk about DeAndre, because it pisses me off to see him get fouled. Chris Paul was not fouled.
He was fouled.
He wasn't fouled.
All right, listen.
Okay. Even if he wasn't fouled, okay, I'll give you the 2 free throws, right? That he knocked out. That was clutch, by the way.
Yeah, that was very clutch.
That was clutch.
Duncan went back at the other end, hit 2 himself.
Yeah, okay. 1 second left. Spurs inbounding. They're about to pass the ball in. They set the play. The defense is reacting. Buzzer goes off. What is that? We both agree, right? That when the buzzer went off, it screwed the momentum.
That was poor shot clock management.
Yeah.
I think it is always tragic when a match is decided by the referees, at the end of the game, and it's a decision that corrupts the game.
Look, for me, I reckon they had to give him 30 seconds at least to set a new play. The defense had reacted to it already.
Yeah.
They knew it was coming. I mean, I think they were going to pass it to either Danny Green or maybe Kawhi Leonard.
They were trying to go for the lob to
post.
Kawhi.
I don't know about that, man. I think obviously that's what they did on the second inbounds, right? When the buzzer didn't go off with 1 second left, they tried to lob it up to Kawhi, and then he just got swatted by Matt Barnes in what looked like an NFL play.
Spurs have had plenty of calls in their favour before that won them games. I'm going to go back to the James Harden foul we saw a few weeks ago. I'm going to call it a foul.
What does James Harden have to do with this?
When Duncan fouled him at the end of the game and they didn't call and they just ran off the court.
It was the regular season, Nathan. We're talking playoffs, man.
Okay. We talking playoffs?
We're talking playoffs, bro. Come on, man.
Right.
We love you.
Okay. Let's bring it down before we come to blows.
We're very emotional.
Mayweather Pacquiao fight round 2 going on at the No Regard set. I reckon, look, the Spurs bench outclassed the Clippers bench this entire series. It wasn't even close. But I reckon Blake came up as the best player in the series.
Are you serious?
Trailed closely by Tim Duncan.
Are you kidding? You're saying Blake Griffin was the... Oh. Look, mate, I don't know.
Look, him and CP3.
I reckon CP3 was the best player of the series. And then Tim Duncan. Look... Honestly, I thought Blake Griffin played well in a few games.
Look, but he had a few mental mistakes, which I think tainted his performance a bit.
Yeah, and his stats backed him up, even in this last game.
Yeah.
He had double-digit boards.
26-point triple-double.
Yeah.
But
I saw a lot of indecisiveness. I saw Blake with 10 feet of space, pump fake no one.
Yeah.
Try and look off for a pass, and then try and drill the shot and miss. There was just a lot of indecisiveness, and I don't know if that's Doc Rivers' fault. Or what? Maybe they're just not calling plays right with Chris Paul. But I didn't see him as the best player of the series.
Look, CP3 probably had the best plus minus. And look, I think the Clippers without him on the floor, he's their most important player by, I think, the biggest margin in the NBA when we're not talking about players named LeBron James or Steph Curry.
I mean, he's the best point guard in the league, right? He is the best point guard in the league.
Best natural point guard in the league. Because...
Well, define natural.
someone that
Who is
pass
it
first
natural?
point guard.
Who is it natural?
Best pass for first point guard. Isaiah Thomas style. Like,
Right.
Throwing,
Like,
no, I don't mean...
Rondo!
Not someone who can't shoot altogether.
Right.
Like Pistons Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
Like, that is the mold point guard.
Yeah.
Because Magic Johnson, even though he was the best ever, he wasn't, like, the traditional point guard. I still think there's a big argument for Steph Curry.
No way. But let's not even get into it, man.
Jesus Christ, this is some conflict this week.
Okay.
Apologise in advance for the aggressiveness coming through.
All right, well, we got second round now.
All right. Do you want to just quickly go through our predictions from the first round? See what we got right, what we got wrong.
Okay.
Because
you called me out before this podcast even started.
Okay, I thought he'd pick Toronto.
I did not pick Toronto, man.
We both picked Washington.
We both went back and watched. I picked Washington.
Right.
Nathan throwing
So
shade
I,
before
I,
it
I,
starts.
I owe someone a pizza, but that's completely separate.
Nah, that's alright, bro. I
okay.
didn't lose.
Let's go back. We both picked the Hawks to do it pretty easily. I think Brooklyn were... Like, they stole a game or two.
Oh, yeah, they put up a fight.
They did put up a strong fight.
I was a bit worried for the Hawks for a little bit, to be
Yeah,
completely
exactly.
honest. Yeah.
But the Hawks had a very convincing Game 6, so they went through. Cavs, we predicted Celtics to maybe get 1 or 2 games, but Cavs were just...
That didn't work, did it?
No, it was a sweep, but I reckon it was more costly for the Cavs. Kevin Love injury.
Yeah.
What does that mean for them?
Well, first, was it intentional?
No.
No,
Okay,
thank you.
Look, he was intending to put his arm in the thing.
Yep.
But Kelly Olynyk's too unco to
Mate,
intentionally dislocate a shoulder.
Yeah, the UFC champion Kelly Olynyk. It just doesn't sound right, man.
Where's Olynyk versus Mayweather? Where's that fight?
Oh, man, that'd be something I'd want to see.
Definitely. Okay. It wasn't intentional, but it is very costly to the Cavs.
It's huge.
When you just look at the stats, like how much better they are with Kevin Love on the floor is ridiculous.
He's going to be out for like around 6 months, right?
Yeah, because the main thing it does, like any LeBron team, has LeBron as the main ball handler, 3 shooters, and a rim protector. Kevin Love was one of those shooters. He allowed them to space the floor, take a defender out of the paint, so there's plenty of driving lanes for him and Kyrie, for LeBron and Kyrie, to head into the paint and pretty much dominate the offense.
I mean, he's part of the big 3. He's a big name.
He is a big name, and he's regressed this season, but it is still a big 3 because he's playing his role and he's played it great. Now they have to start Tristan Thompson, who I think is one of the best rebounders in the league.
Yes,
but it doesn't allow them space to fall because you can't trust Tristan Thompson to make an 18-foot shot because he won't.
Yeah,
like he's not a shooter. Like he's a paint professional. He's very good at defending. One of the best offensive rebounders in the league, but he doesn't space the floor, which means paint's more congested. LeBron and Kyrie can't drive, and I reckon it'll take them a game or two to be like, okay, how is this going to work?
Yeah.
Do they play small ball? Do they play LeBron at power forward? Do they start Shumpert? They're going to be without J.R. Smith for the first 2 games. There's a lot working against the Cavs right now. Without J.R. and Love for those first 2 games, they may drop home court advantage pretty significantly.
Yeah, because to your point, if Kyrie's handling the ball, you can't have that be the primary offensive option because LeBron can't catch and shoot.
He can't. But look, I think he's regressed a bit from 3 than he had. Because he had this thing where he's all Miami he was getting better from 3, getting better from 3, getting better from 3. I think he regressed a bit this year. But when you're comparing LeBron James to LeBron James, it's pretty tough credentials. He's still been one of the best players in the league this season, one of the best 5 players in the league this season.
Yeah, you got to remember he spent 3 years in Miami.
Yeah.
So he was familiar by the 3rd year where he's knocking down the threes.
Like that 2012, 2013 LeBron was the best version of LeBron I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The smartest version.
Yeah. But yeah, back to the game, right? I mean, not to the game, to Kevin Love. It's huge.
I think we don't really want to talk off season yet, but what does this mean for where he will go? Because there's some big free agency talk about him, like that he might opt out and try and stretch his options. Now that he's injured for 4 to 6 months, big calls, but I reckon he's going to opt in. He's going to take that money because the same thing with I'm going to compare it to Wesley Matthews. Now that he's injured, he's going to get less money than he would have. Wesley Matthews was going to be worth a lot more money from what he was doing in the season. Ruptured his ACL.
It's a different injury, though.
But the dislocated shoulder, you have a exponentially more chance of dislocating it within the next year.
Yeah, but
He's injured for a long time.
a torn ACL is huge.
Like teams will still go after him, in my opinion, but I reckon he takes the money and stays in Cleveland one more season.
I disagree. I think Kevin Love, Rajon Rondo, Kobe Bryant end up forming a playoff-ready Los Angeles Lakers squad with a few pieces. Okay, I don't really believe in Los Angeles management.
Even the players they have right now would not be role players on a championship team. The only player that I like from this season, Jordan Clarkson.
Right.
Second round pick, probably the steal of the draft, in my opinion.
And since he's from the draft, he's not getting paid big money.
Exactly. He pushed Jeremy Lin out of the starting lineup. He was being aggressive when no one else was.
Mm-hmm.
You can make the argument good stats on a bad team, but he was great in my opinion.
No, he was great. He was great.
The thing is, I hope when and if Rajon Rondo comes to the Lakers, I hope that doesn't reduce Clarkson's role too significantly.
Right.
It'd be good if maybe it was like the 6th or 7th man, like playing a Patty Mills sort of role. Obviously not as good a shooter, nearly, but playing that like backup point guard with significant minutes.
Yeah. Okay, well, back to now. Let's get off the off-season.
Okay, let's get off the off-season. So we picked the Cavs correctly. Now the Bulls. This is our first one where we picked completely right. Bulls and 6.
Yeah.
But that last game for the Bulls was just
the
goodness. Best defensive performance I've seen in the playoffs for a long time. They won by 54 points, the worst loss in Milwaukee history, and the best win ever in Bulls history in the playoffs.
Yeah.
When you consider the Bulls' playoffs resume, that's big.
Yeah, I have to admit, I didn't watch this game. The real life came across, university.
There's life outside of sports.
Had to come first, but yeah. I mean, it was incredible. When I saw the box score, I was amazed.
Exactly. And we picked that one right, and then we'll go to Toronto and Washington. We both picked Washington.
Picked it right. Yep.
And from there, having both picked Washington, we both just thought with Paul Pierce, with obviously John Wall, who had a terrific first round. Otto Porter Jr. came out of nowhere from playing a reserve role to being one of the stars, and allowed them to start Paul Pierce at power forward. Hitting some daggers, the truth was this.
Yeah, and it's good to see Paul Pierce's leadership, and I think it's really rubbing off well off John Wall. You can see that John Wall's really becoming a leader. John Wall is
the third best player in the Eastern Conference, behind Kyrie Irving and LeBron James, in my opinion. Obviously, you have to go through the list, but I honestly think he's the best point guard.
Carmelo Anthony is the third best player when healthy.
Yeah, but he hasn't been healthy the whole season.
Carmelo Anthony is the third best player when healthy.
So we don't start another fight. Carmelo is the third best player when
healthy. All right. But let's just stop talking about the past. We got second round coming up. Atlanta, Washington. What's your pick?
Atlanta in 6 or 7.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
The reason I say that, if we were going off the first 5 games only, if you would have asked me after that 5 games that Atlanta had played, I'd say Washington. Look at how convincing they were in the first round. They swept Toronto without home court advantage. They swept the Drakes, if you want to refer to them as that. The Toronto Drakes. But, look, Washington are a great team. They're flawed. And I think Budenholzer is a significantly better coach than the Washington Wizards coach Randy Whitman.
Right. Can't believe you remembered his name.
Neither do I. I don't think he will be a coach in the far off future.
Right.
I reckon he keeps his job, obviously, because it was a great first round performance.
Yep.
I think the Hawks, the way they played in Game 6 to clinch out that series against Brooklyn, was the way we'd see them the whole regular season. Team basketball, good ball movement, hitting their shots. Kyle Korver looked good again. Jeff Teague looked like a great point guard. Al Horford finally getting over that dislocated finger he suffered in Game 1. They play that way, that quasi-Spurs sort of basketball.
Yeah.
We will see Atlanta in the conference finals.
I disagree. Washington in 7.
Washington in 7.
So, you touched on it. We didn't really see the real Atlanta in that Brooklyn series until it was getting late in the series, right? Mm-hmm. It's going to happen again. Washington's a better team than Brooklyn. You can't tell me that's not right.
Agreed.
I think, honestly, Washington's going to be too much for them. In 7 games, I reckon Washington will make the Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay. I honestly thought coming into this play, I think Atlanta, the way they'd played going down the stretch of the regular season, where they've been resting players, I knew they'd probably need a few games to get into their rhythm.
Yep.
Because they hadn't been playing really intense.
But it's against Brooklyn. Man.
Look, they were unconvincing for a lot of games in that series. But they came out and played the right basketball when it mattered in Game 6. They didn't want it to go back home for Game 7.
Right. Because if that goes to 3-3, I would probably have said Brooklyn
and we
wins
got to
that
admit,
series.
it was very good from Brooklyn for what they did. But yeah, I think they have... If they play like they have in the regular season, I'm backing them in to do that.
It's a big if, man. I didn't see it. I just didn't see it from
It'll
Atlanta.
be Atlanta in 6 or 7. John Wall and Bradley Beal, who had a subpar for first round there, their backcourt is what decides this, in my opinion. Okay, so we disagree on the first one.
All right, that's good. There's a good track record so far.
I think disagreement is the theme of this podcast.
Yeah, man.
Cavs Bulls. This is the series I am pumped about. My Bulls going up against LeBron James.
The Bulls will win in 7 games. I'm sure you're happy to hear that.
The Bulls will win in 7 games.
Oh, so you're picking the same?
I'm picking the same.
Oh, so you're changing your finals
pick
then.
I am changing my finals pick. But look, things change on the daily in basketball.
Yeah.
With NBA basketball, you've got to keep on top of it. So many things change. We would not have expected Atlanta to be so poor as they were in the first. Toronto to get swept. Like, things change so often. You've got to change your analysis accordingly. Look, for some of the games they played against the Milwaukee Bucks, they were unconvincing. It still hurts me that they couldn't close it out in a sweep when they had the chance and Derrick Rose just slept on defense and allowed the game for a winner.
But you know what? Like, I know
that's not going to hurt him. Like, overall.
Yeah, but you know what? I attribute that to not playing the game
enough. He's learned from that, and obviously, look, Game 6 is what everything. I have to pick the Bulls.
Yeah.
Like, the way they played was suffocated. They played like 13 guys too. Like, they played their whole roster. A lot of that in junk time, mind you, but they played their whole roster. They didn't just ride the starters.
I think Jimmy Butler will play better in the series.
Even better.
Yeah.
I thought he played great in the first
series. He's gonna
Derrick
lock
Rose
it down.
will play even better in this series. I reckon defensively he's not a great point guard, so I reckon he'll have troubles with Kyrie, but I reckon that'll be made up with the way defenses in the NBA are made these days is on the bigs. Like, you got to get past the rim protecting bigs, and I reckon Joakim looked even better in this series. Pau Gasol was hitting shots some games.
Some games.
Look, he came in slow in my opinion. He came in a bit slow, but in like the
but
late.
Pau was Pau. You know,
Pau was Pau. Pow. And then their backup bigs with Mirotic and Gibson is really good too.
Yeah.
Look, they've still got it on defense, and we saw that from that last game. They've still got the defensive prowess. Kevin Love tips it as well. Mm-hmm. The Cavs, look, Chicago has never beaten a LeBron team.
Yep. Oh, that's going to change.
That is going to change after this series. I reckon the Cavs lose too much with Kevin Love. Mm-hmm. They will have a few games to figure it out, but by then, Chicago would have captured the first 2 games against Cleveland on their home court. Look, they're just in much better rhythm. Yes, the Cavs swept the Celtics, but I reckon Milwaukee showed a lot more than the Celtics did these playoffs.
Right.
Yeah, I think Bulls in 7. LeBron will be LeBron for 2 or 3 games, if not more, and come out with some stellar performances. Kyrie will do his thing. But then you look beyond that for the Cavs, like missing J.R. Smith, I think is just as big.
Yeah.
For the because they lose a great shooter.
And Shumpert will do his thing, but he can only do so much.
And I don't think Shumpert can defend Jimmy Butler.
I think he can.
Well, I think it'll be a good.
Well, I've seen him on Shumpert lock down Derrick Rose completely in his prime.
Very true. Look, it'll be a good battle defensively. I reckon you see Jimmy Butler trying to guard LeBron. Mm-hmm. You're going to see Shumpert trying to guard Derrick Rose. And it's going to be a lot of matchups. It's going to be very interesting, the matchups in the series. But I say Bulls in 7.
All right, I just have to go on record and say I didn't believe in Derrick Rose. After so many injuries, man.
I admit my confidence got hit, but at the end of the regular season when I was watching him going like, this could be something. He could come out these playoffs. Look, he hasn't had the first rounds of old when I think he knocked down 45 points a few years ago in the first round. But he showed enough for me. He showed enough, and he'll get better. He will be better in the second round. He did get hurt with his turnovers, in my opinion. He wasn't very efficient with the basketball, but he'll be better in the next round, and there'll be a round after that, and there'll be a round after that. He's going to the finals.
Yeah. So that'll all come with reps.
Yeah, exactly.
Like all his deficiencies.
Let's move over to the Western Conference.
Okay, so we got Golden State, Memphis.
Chris. I didn't pick Memphis in the outset. I regret that pick.
I picked Memphis.
You did pick Memphis. Look, I honestly thought the Trailblazers, what they showed was a bit weak.
Let's not even talk about a crap team like the Trailblazers, man. All right, Golden State in 6.
Golden State in 5.
Ooh, damn, you're disrespecting Memphis like that,
I
man.
think grit and grind is so great, but Conley is the huge factor in this. We don't know if he's going to play. Conley, the playmaker for that team, they looked less convincing, less fluid without him on the floor. And if it's Steph Curry matched up against Calathis in the starting lineup,
I don't even know who that is.
Exactly. It's just going to be horrid, like, for Memphis at the point guard. Like, the backcourt, obviously they're going to have Tony Allen out, trying to guard Clay and Steph.
Yep.
But it's one or the other without Conley on the floor. And I reckon he'll come back within the first 2 or 3 games because they just can't afford not to have him. Right. Look, I think Memphis take 1 game at home through the just bashing him down in the paint. And I think Draymond Green versus Zach Randolph will be the matchup of this series.
Randolph's going to be winning that, though.
I don't think you can disrespect what Draymond does on the defensive end.
I'm doing it. I'm disrespecting Draymond Green.
Green.
Randolph is a beast.
Look, him and Kawhi, you could split in hairs who should have won Defensive of the Year, like Defensive Player of the Year. The only person that affects Golden State more than Draymond is Curry.
Yeah. So will Curry light it up again? Yes.
Yes.
Easy.
He was actually less efficient than he was in the regular season in this series.
We expected that, though.
We expected that. But he had some big scoring nights. I say Golden State in 5.
Yep. And just a reminder for everyone, we didn't have Curry as the MVP. We
said Harden, and I reckon we will be proven wrong on that decision soon. I got no troubles with it. Like
I do.
I'm just saying this is also splitting hairs. Like, you can split hairs on who should get it out of Harden and Curry.
Yeah, this wasn't the topic. We're talking about this now, man.
All right, we're talking about
We brought it out. Harden
would get the players carried. I agree.
Dwight Howard was out for so long, and he wasn't even playing.
He's only shown up in this first round.
He wasn't even playing well when he was playing.
Exactly.
And what? They had the second seed,
They carried them to a 56-win season. Okay, when Chandler Parsons got picked up by Dallas, and Jeremy Lin went to the Lakers. We thought Houston was going down. Yes. I remember our preseason predictions were like, do they even make playoffs?
He was done. I was like, fire McHale. This is it. It's done.
But they pulled out something extraordinary. Like, it's doing more with less. Mm-hmm. Look, they made some good pickups late in the season, I reckon. Corey Brewer and Josh Smith have finally shown themselves to be competent NBA players.
Yeah.
Not throwing shade on a former All-Star, but like, he wasn't convincing it starting off the season at the Pistons.
Right. I mean, the Detroit project just didn't work.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's great as a 6-man.
Yes.
I think like my ideal 6-man would probably be Josh Smith.
I mean, he's built like LeBron James.
Exactly. And I honestly think that when you're looking at what he did in this series, he was a better 6-man than even Jamal Crawford.
Yeah.
Like, Jamal Crawford, for me, from the Clippers, can just be a killer he can shoot you out of game. Like, right. He went 0 for 8 in one of the games that the Clippers lost. He can throw up shots. Josh Smith is smarter now, and when he just channeled like CP3 and threw like so many lobs up to Dwight. But
I mean, it was all a new project, right? Yeah. See, this is what I'm saying. This is new. And then Steve Kerr, although we do respect the job he's done, he took over Mark Jackson's job.
Yeah.
He already led them to the playoffs.
People did question when Mark Jackson was fired, very much.
I mean, Curry, Klay Thompson, the Splash Brothers, right? It's been like that for a while now.
Yeah.
You can't give Curry the MVP.
But they were a historically good team.
But the help that Curry had...
The 9 teams in all of NBA history that were better than we're talking Golden State is a top 10 team ever in terms of record and point differential.
Yeah, in a historically good Western
7
Conference.
out of those 9 times, their lead scorer got the MVP. Obviously, 2 of those times were MJ. Mm-hmm. But I'm not comparing Curry to MJ, by the way.
Thank you.
Curry did do a lot for this team. He was the biggest on-off difference for them, biggest point differential difference for them on or off the floor. He had huge effect, and it was Curry being the main factor that got Golden State here. It wasn't Golden State that got Curry. Curry's not just getting it as a token for being in such a great team. He made that team great.
What? What? No, okay.
Curry is the biggest factor in why Golden State got 67. I'm not saying he's the only factor,
Yes.
but he's the biggest factor.
I agree. Okay, now take this situation. Take Harden, throw him out of the league. Take Curry, throw him out of the league. What happens to those two teams?
Very true.
Houston is the last place team in the Western Conference. Last. They're coming last. The Lakers are going to beat them.
Yeah.
Okay?
Alright.
I mean, okay, Golden State would make the play. Oh, ooh.
They
might have come in the
But they are
AFC.
not playing without either of these players. As I said, you can split hairs. You can have an argument for hours, which is what we're almost doing. On why Harden or Curry should win the NBA. And I agree. If Harden wins it, I'll have no problems with it. I backed him in before, and I would back him in if he won it. But I have no problems if Steph Curry won it, and I would completely be able to justify either decision. If, Russell Westbrook comes out of nowhere and wins it, I would just have so many problems with that. It'd be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because it's not happening. But this is the closest MVP race I have seen in a long time. Mm-hmm. You cannot have a huge problem with each one winning.
Look, if Harden wins, beer's on me at the Bavarian, alright? We cool? Is that good? As a celebration.
Alright, no. If Harden wins, beer's on me, because I doubted him.
Okay, I'll take that.
that's right,
Free beers all day. All
Free
right.
beers. Shout out to free
Yeah,
beers.
speaking of Harden, Houston Clippers.
Houston Clippers. I just want the pick straight up. What's your pick?
I was hoping you'd go first, man. I haven't processed this already.
Okay, no, you make a pick
Alright,
before you
so
explain anything.
I am going Clippers.
In 7?
In 7, yeah.
Houston in 7.
Alright, well, Clippers, they showed me that they're going to make the finals. That's what they showed me against the Spurs.
If there aren't shot sound effects, when we go
It's
back
going to be like
this,
bang, 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 bang.
yeah. Okay.
Just dropping the knowledge.
I love CP3. He's a Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer, the greatest point guard in the league, blah, 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 blah.
By the way, that injury won't affect him. He'll be fine.
Okay. The Los Angeles Clippers do not have a valid bench.
No, they
Houston now has role players that have shown up in the first round, and if they do what they did in the first round, this series is going to see Houston in the conference finals.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Do the Spurs have the best bench in the league?
Yes.
Okay, then.
With Golden State, they have the best bench in the league.
All right. Well, we're not.
Yeah. Well, we're not talking about Golden State.
Yeah.
But it creates fatigue, man. They pretty much have to turn around. They're going to be starting their series within 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
You can't play your starters for 40 minutes every single night throughout 7-game series. Because if Clippers do get to the finals, and look, I'd love it if they did.
Right. I mean, that's your pick, right?
That was my pick from the outset,
Okay.
and I'm not picking them in this series, but I am going to ride that pick to the bank.
Okay.
If they win,
If it
if
does
they win
happen.
the league, I'm going to go back on everything I said.
We're just
going
to destroy the pod. Delete all the episodes
Delete all the
that we
pod.
said
No
otherwise.
No evidence. But watching that Spurs series, there were real moments when you're like, the Clippers do not have enough in the bank.
And they still won.
But will Kevin McHale hack a Jordan?
Yes.
Yes. You would be
Will they hack a Dwight? Yes.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's give and take, right? I think,
Exactly.
To be honest, I think Dwight Howard...
There's some horrible free throw shooters in Houston.
Yeah, Josh Smith. So...
Look, but we haven't even talked about James Harden. James Harden is a matchup nightmare for the Clippers. It's Chris Paul could guard him, and that's who you would send to him because, let's be real, without Patrick Beverley, they don't have a point guard.
Yeah, but then the thing is, Chris Paul's going to get fatigued, and James Harden, we didn't even mention, he's been playing defense.
When CP3's on the bench, who do they get to guard Harden?
Exactly.
Harden will be a lot better
Austin Rivers, bro. For sure. Do it for dad.
R.I.P. Austin Rivers in advance.
One of the coolest moments of that Clippers Spurs series was seeing Austin Rivers get mad at Doc Rivers for pulling him out of the game. I thought that was hilarious.
But
I
Dad,
loved it.
please, Dad, no. Harden's going to be a matchup nightmare. Dwight plays like Dwight. I reckon the battle between him and DeAndre will be amazing. 2 defensive-minded, but guys that can take a lob. Like, it's going to be close. Mm-hmm. But I reckon this ride the starters every single day sort of thing will eventually wear on the Clippers. Either Paul's injury becomes worse than you think it is.
I don't think it's bad at all.
But no, they keep riding him out for 40 minutes a night because they need to, because
they are
a much worse team without him on the floor.
Yep.
Someone's going to get fatigued. Someone's going to get injured on the Clippers starting 5.
We hope not. Obviously.
We hope not.
This is just saying,
I'm just
hypothetically.
Saying, we obviously hope all players stay healthy.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen if they keep riding the players like this. They cannot make... It would be like huge if they did, but I can't see this team winning a championship riding their starters and not having a bench.
Right.
Because the last few seasons, like, you got Ray Allen coming off the bench for the Heat. You got, obviously, the Spurs' amazing bench.
Yeah.
The last few championships have good role players, and the Clippers, unless Jamal Crawford can stop shooting them out of games and just be heat check every game...
Just watch Big Baby Davis drop 50, bro.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. All right, so
you can't go yourself.
You got Houston in 7.
Houston 7.
I got Clippers in 7.
Why will Clippers be there in 7?
Well, I just said it, right? I mean, they beat the Spurs unconvincingly. They didn't really play well against the Spurs. No, and we disagree on Blake Griffin being the best player on the set in the series. I know Chris Paul shot the lights out in that Game 7. But they convinced me, man. I really do think the Clippers will win the series. They might not make the finals, but I think they have enough in the tank to win the series.
Definitely.
But we've spent way too much
long
time
on NBA.
talking about basketball.
All right. Do you want to talk about...
Just real quick, Kentucky Derby. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
I could have made $1,200, Nate.
We're going to play the smallest violin in the world for you, because sports betting... gamble responsibly, everyone. But... tell us about what you would have done.
Look, tears might be dropping on this microphone. Okay, because I just gotta let the people know, right? I had this itch feeling in my gut that American Pharaoh was gonna win the thing when I saw the listing, right? Yeah. And he had the best odds. He was the favorite to win. Now, going home, watched Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, did a little puppet skit.
Yeah.
Had American Pharaoh winning. That was the second being in my head. I was like, oh, man, I'm about to put 400 on this.
Gotta love those puppy skits on
Oh, man.
Late Night.
Mate,
Shout out to Jimmy Fallon, like that. He's brought back the Late Night show.
Yeah.
He's made it viral. Like, props to Jimmy Fallon. I love the guy.
And I ended up not betting on the damn horse on the Kentucky Derby, man. This is the event. This was the third best thing happening today, right? Yeah. Right. I did get that in order.
Yeah, third best.
You know what? Now that everything's said and done, it was probably the second best thing happening. Because the stupid fight. Biggest letdown, but okay, I could have made money.
Okay, how much aggression have we put into this podcast? It's just been like...
I'm very hyped!
I'm
angry. So hyped!
Alright, we're going to bring it back to Australia, maybe calm things down, a bit less conflict.
Yep.
Big round in the AFL, in my opinion.
Right, so I mean, what's been going on?
Okay.
Let us know.
So, biggest matchup between the 2 biggest clubs, Carlton and Collingwood. Mick Malthouse goes through his milestone game, most coach games ever, 715 games. And when they're only playing 22 in the regular season, like...
Do the math.
That's crazy.
You can do the math at home.
Exactly. Do the math. I'm not going to. Collingwood came out and just beat them to death, and there's just no effort from a few teams, to be honest. Like, teams that I'm calling out on this podcast, Carlton...
You're about to get some Twitter hate. I can see it right now.
I'm calling out Carlton, and I'm calling out the Brisbane Lions for just showing... piss weak effort, like this whole season so far. There's no tackling. I think tackling is the biggest stat that I can look at in the AFL. It shows effort. It shows willingness to go at the ball. And like about 8 players, I think in Carlton had about 2 or 3 tackles between 8 players. Mm-hmm. And the Collingwood ruckman, Brodie Grundy, had about 8 in the entire game. There's just no effort.
You're hearing the call-outs. Give him the hate.
And I don't even want to talk about the Brisbane Lions. They are...
Well, they play Gold Coast, right?
They're absolutely horrid. The Q clash from 2 0-4 teams spread to that, and they could just get spanked by Gold Coast.
And Gold Coast hasn't even been playing well.
I don't know what's changed with the Lions. I think they've been a bit hard done by injuries. Obviously, Tommy Rockcliffe has been the most unlucky player in the AFL. Comes back from his injury. The week after that, he gets knocked out like within the first minute of the game, and he's off on a stretcher.
Did you get a concussion?
I'll have to check on it. I haven't looked at the injuries. I've been too mad at the result.
Right. Such an emotional podcast today, man.
Like, look, the Lions getting Michael Voss a few years ago, in 2009, we went to the finals. I'm like, great. We trade away all our assets, all our draft picks for Brendan Favola, and
You can swear on the pod. We'll beep it out.
Okay,
Don't worry about
Brendan
it, mate.
Favola and Xavier Clark and Brent Staker, for all these players that were worth nothing for a premiership push. We have been in the same place for 6 seasons, bottom of the ladder. Just there is no progress in the club, and when we get some progress, players nick off to Melbourne and Western Australia because they can't take the heat on Brisbane, because we're a horribly run club that has a horrible front office and can't settle on a coach. And
Nathan's Twitter handle is Nathan_Bleakley, so y'all can send him what you think about his
or
opinion.
you can agree, because it's true, because the Lions are a poorly run club and they need to improve something, and something needs to change, and players need to show effort on the football field. We need to win some bloody games and show some progress after 5 years of being on the bottom of the ladder. Okay.
Man, I think you're just spoiled with all the championships they won, all the premiers, man.
Yeah, but then again, being on the bottom of the ladder, all I want is progress. I just want some sign of we are getting better.
Positivity.
We want to do better. And there is no positivity. There's no everyone wants to play for the same cause.
Could you support Gold Coast if they played well?
I think everyone would jump on the Gold Coast bandwagon if they got back to the finals, but they're playing horrible as well because they picked up Rodney Eade when they fired Blue McKenna for no reason. And now they have no system. Gary Ablett's out, and the Gold Coast Suns do not make the final by a long shot. Let's talk about a positive team.
Right.
The Western Bulldogs. Some people even tip this team for the spoon. They've won 4 out of their first 5 games. The best second-year player I've ever seen.
And you mentioned this in a previous
I've never
pod.
seen since Nathan Fife, who is my favourite player. I would turn gay for the man, Nathan Fife.
I'm sorry, can we get a replay of that?
My favourite player, I would turn gay for the man, Nathan Fife. Man, Nathan Fife is just the best AFL player. Like, he's just God. Like,
If you guys could see Nathan right now, he's drooling.
over Nathan Fife, which is just... It's not a name thing. It's just because he is just God on the football field. The Western Bulldogs, Marcus Bonham-Pelly, Jake McRae, like, it's a good young team. They've shown a lot. New coach, obviously the system's working. They try harder than a lot of the other teams. Big tackle counts. Western Bulldogs will make the finals this year. Fremantle maintain their 0-5 record against Melbourne. They took Melbourne to town. Nathan Fife himself, best player on the ground.
He's drooling again.
I'm drooling again. But I'll talk about the one controversial thing of the round. The Hawthorn captain Luke Hodge, and probably their best player this season so far, Jordan Lewis,
Yep.
both took very cheap shots and they're going to be out for a number of weeks from suspension.
What's new in the AFL, please?
No, Jordan Lewis straight up clocked Todd Goldstein, like literally took him like it was probably better than any punches in the actual fight today.
Damn.
And so much like so many shots in this podcast. And also Luke Hodge, a few cheap shots as well. That's going to hurt Hawthorn. But I think I've had my say on the AFL. I think I was very calm and composed about it.
All right, well, let's keep it in Australia. Let's keep it in Queensland. The Brisbane-Adelaide game, we both predicted it right.
Let's keep it on Queensland teams that have lost games this week.
But okay, in a lighter note, Brisbane's a much better team than the others in terms of where they are. They played the playoffs.
Exactly, they made the playoffs, and look, I think we're always going to be a bit tough done by a great Adelaide team at home. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, we didn't get up. It was 2-1 against us. We're going to be in a better place next season. I reckon we took the loss of Bursar Barisha up front. I reckon that was a very tough, losing such a prolific strike, and obviously he's made a big impact at Melbourne victory. But yeah, that sets up Adelaide with Sydney FC this week.
Right.
Big game over at Sydney.
Okay, so let's just talk about the other elimination final, Melbourne
Phoenix
City
going out against Wellington City. You did pick this. You did pick. I picked Wellington Phoenix, and you picked Melbourne City.
Right. I mean, Melbourne City. Aaron Moy. Can I mean,
throw some love. We need some love on this
some
podcast
Nathan
right now.
Fife love
Okay.
here.
Okay, so
Aaron Moy is the next best Australian player. Yeah. This guy does everything well. Yeah. I've said it in a previous pod. If you haven't seen Aaron Moy play, go watch some YouTube highlights. And there was some
controversy that he shouldn't deserve his spot in the Socceroos, and you just went off.
Oh, if you check my Twitter feed, there's probably
It's just
some
more love.
nasty words. It's been a really heated sports week this week.
It's
Man.
been a very heated
we're going
podcast.
on. All right, but let's get on to the games that matter.
Semi-finals.
Adelaide, Sydney. Who wins?
Sydney.
Thank you. Sydney wins. Mark
Sydney-
Yanko is
Syd-
way too good.
Mark Yanko is way too good. That team has had 2 convincing seasons. They're at their home ground. I reckon Sydney just turns out for the match. It's going to be great home ground advantage, and Sydney gets through by a small margin. I'm going to give Adelaide some credit.
Yeah, because we both love Adelaide.
Yeah, Adelaide's a good team.
Joseph Gombau, shout out, man. Greatest person
Sydney
ever.
will get through this match.
Yep.
And let's talk about the Melbourne Derby.
Right,
For a
so-
semi-final. This is going to be a big match.
This is huge.
This is, I have an uncle from Melbourne who's a Melbourne Victory member, and
well, he's going to be a bit disappointed.
Yeah. Oh.
Yep. Melbourne City going to take
Melbourne
this.
Victory take this. Melbourne
Really?
Victory take this.
Really?
Look, Melbourne Victory has been the best team throughout the whole entire regular season.
No.
Yes.
Sydney's be the best team.
Okay, they have the Premier's plate though.
Yeah, because
By
Sydney
def-
suffered at the start. Melbourne Victory got screwed at the end. This is why I'm picking Melbourne City to win, because Victory have fallen off so much. And right, so if we take our picks into consideration, we've got Sydney in the final already.
We've already got Sydney in the final. Sydney may as well just skip this game and go to the final.
Yeah, so it's either City or Victory against Sydney in the final.
It'd be
Honestly.
huge for City, to
Yeah.
turn around the club from when it was Melbourne Heart, not a very great club in terms of A-League success,
Yep.
turning it around to be this juggernaut Melbourne City.
Right.
And your opinion,
I mean,
a future A-League grand finalist.
yeah. I really do think Melbourne City have got this. I don't think Melbourne Victory have enough. I think the Berisha signing was huge, but it's not going to be enough. man.
Berisha shows up in big games, that's all I'll say. He
That-
will show up in this game.
And we know that better than anyone as
Exactly.
Brisbane Roar fans.
So I can't hate the man after what
Right.
he did in the last final for
But
us.
Aaron Moy. Need I say more?
Yeah, okay. Well,
Aaron
I'm not gonna-
Moy.
Okay.
I am the
I think
biggest Aaron
we
Moy
lay down the
supporter.
law in this podcast that you're not allowed to throw shade at Nathan Fyfe, and I'm not allowed to throw shade at Aaron Moy at any point.
That's fair enough, because we could come to blows. there.
This podcast has been just successively us coming to blows for the last hour.
Right.
But I think that does it for our A-League picks.
Yep.
You see Melbourne City in the final. I see Melbourne Victory in the final, but we both see Sydney in the final.
Right.
Let's move on to our question of the week. Going back to the fight,
Unfortunately.
we
But
thought-
we're not really talking about
We're
the
not.
fight.
We're talking about the bigger
the
picture.
sport in
The
general.
sport of boxing. Is it still on the decline after the Mayweather match?
I think it's gotten even worse. And I think you may have experienced this because, as we said before, I couldn't make it out to the boundary,
Yeah.
but you did. And from what I'm hearing, the reaction was, as I see on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, that everybody hated the fight.
Everyone hated the fight, and a lot of people hated the result of the fight.
Yeah.
I think when we're talking about boxing greats, you talk about Ali, you talk about Mike Tyson.
George
Irrega-
Foreman,
Irregardless of any personal discretions,
yeah.
them in the ring, they were aggressors. They would always go at it. Plenty of knockouts. Ali, the greatest ever.
Yes.
But this is the complete opposite of everything that's been said before. Mayweather, the leading man, being a defensive fighter. As you said, he's a tactical genius.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is with professional sports, it's an entertainment game, man.
Exactly.
And when it's not spectator friendly, like I saw the funniest tweet where it was like Mayweather parked the bus.
Yeah.
And if for people who don't know, parking the bus was a soccer term.
What Chelsea does on
Chelsea
a
does, my
weekly
team,
basis.
Where you put a lot of defenders back. You don't play entertaining football, but you play
But
winning
like
football.
Chelsea, you
Get
win
the
games.
win. Now, style over substance is what everyone wants.
Yeah.
People can say what they want, but if you're boring to watch, you're not going to get as much as in basketball. If you're throwing lobs, you're going to get more attention than a team that just grinds it out.
I love Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah, Memphis Grizzlies and the Spurs don't get as much love as they should because they don't play as ooh-ah basketball as like the Clippers or the Warriors or those sort of teams.
That's a good analogy.
In boxing, this sport was already becoming a niche sport.
Yes, because of UFC.
Because of you don't even line up for UFC. It's just not in terms of the grand picture of sports. It's going down the ladder.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it, the last great entertainer... I mean, we had so many. You had Sugar Ray Leonard, Ali.
You can make an argument for Manny Pacquiao for sure.
Yeah,
which is the reason why a lot of people called out on this decision, that they thought Manny Pacquiao played the better fight because he was more aggressive, because he was better for spectators.
I mean, he was the underdog as well. We always like to cheer on the underdog.
We're Australians. We love to cheer on the underdog.
But even the whole world was behind Pacquiao. And you can say it was maybe because of Mayweather's past discretions. But even then, I mean, Pacquiao's been entertaining for years. Oscar de la Hoya is always fun to watch. They're really fun boxers to watch. But even if Pacquiao wins this fight, I think boxing is dying out because of primarily UFC.
Look,
because we all want to see contact sports. I'm the biggest NFL fan.
Let's be real. What gets the blood rushing more? 12 rounds of boxing or rounds of UFC?
Yeah.
UFC, for me, because to be honest, I've seen highlights of Ronda Rousey just take down a chick in 14 seconds. I've seen people break the... Look, it's a much more violent sport, and we are not encouraging violence on this podcast in any way, shape, or form.
We don't condone it, but it's within the rules.
Within the rules of the sport, it's a more entertaining game because it is more primal. It's more aggressive.
Yeah.
And that's why we worship fighters that are more aggressive when they're in the ring. Look, and the way Floyd Mayweather acted... I know you're calling it trash talking, you can call it being confident. I don't think it helps the sport. I think Manny Pacquiao would have helped the sport more than a Floyd Mayweather win. I wasn't a huge boxing fan before this match, and I'm not going to be rushing out to watch the next Mayweather fight.
Right, I mean, I've always loved boxing because I've grown up in... My father was really loved martial arts, so we've always really liked the fighting aspect of sports. But... we've seen over the years that boxing's just been on the decline, and it for me, it wouldn't have mattered if Pacquiao won on a knockout.
Which is why
today.
I said earlier in the podcast that a lot of the reason this fight is getting the hype that it is outside of the boxing fraternity is because of the numbers being thrown around. Because of how much these guys are going to make.
And you may have a point.
But look, they're two legends of the sport, and whenever two legends meet up, it's always going to create more. I'm just saying not within the boxing fans. I'm saying outside to the casual fan. That's why a lot of casual punters came to this, to see what is $300 million worth.
Right, and that's why I think I disagree with you with the trash talking. You said it doesn't do wonders for the sport. I think anything that gives the sport more attention is good. It's like the saying, like
any publicity is good.
Any publicity is good publicity, right? I mean... boxing needs superstars right now. Mayweather and Pacquiao are the biggest ones, and they're about to retire. We're talking about them retiring after this last fight if they rematch.
Yeah, exactly. Look, they see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like
right.
It's coming up. Look, and I saw a funny quote. Like we also talk about stars retiring. People were wondering if Duncan and Pop and Manu Ginobili might retire after this Spurs loss. And Pop's just so real. Like, he's so real. He said, no, we probably won't retire because the paycheck's pretty good in this league.
Yeah.
If you're making that kind of money fight, and I think Mayweather and Pacquiao make more money together than they ever could apart.
Right.
So a rematch is likely, if only for a money perspective. Boxing is becoming a niche sport, and it will continue even after all this hype to become a niche sport again. If they rematch, it won't get the same hype as the original.
Yeah,
the
right.
sequel is never as good as the original.
Yeah,
something
so
that can be
answer the question, is boxing on the decline? Let us know your thoughts. How can boxing improve or come back to its
Give us
dominance?
suggestions. To be honest, your suggestions to this podcast probably won't be related to the question of the week. It'll probably be related to our many almost fights for this whole thing.
Yeah.
Let's get to our and ones for the week, Marcelo. Let's finish this off on a good note.
Do you want me to go first or you go first?
Sure, you go first.
All right, well, big topic last week, NFL draft, right? We're not even going to react to the 7 rounds because that's impossible. Okay, I'm not even going to react to the first round. I'm gonna keep.
You don't want to make it a 2-hour podcast,
no,
are you sure?
I'm gonna keep it in my heart, right?
Yeah.
Philadelphia Eagles, fly. We didn't get Marcus Mariota. That's a win.
He would. Okay.
Okay. So contrary to every Philly fan out there that wanted Mariota, I didn't.
Even though he was the 2nd pick, and you guys had what, the 20th pick? Was
I
that?
think we could have traded
the
up.
20 something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we really could have traded up, but it would have sold like the entire defense.
Yeah.
Right. So
And you guys made a playoff push. You're in the middle of making playoff pushes, so
just don't even go there. Yes, we were until the Dallas Cowboys just destroyed us. But all right. Nathan, why do you want to make me cry on the pod? It's like the second time I've nearly cried.
I haven't even talked about the New York Knicks once on this pod. What are you talking about? Oh wait,
we were banned from talking Knicks. We are still banned from talking Knicks.
Okay,
enough. Aguilar, wide receiver, the first round pick for the Philadelphia Eagles, A+. We addressed the need at receiver. Sam Bradford is going to have someone to throw to, along with Jordan Matthews and our tight end. I still don't know his name. I haven't researched it. I mean, he must not be very
those
well if I
rosters
remember.
are so big, I don't even bother. There's 50, 60 people on a roster.
53-man rosters.
You do not even go there.
But all right. Eric Rowe at cornerback. Great pick in the second round. We got Hicks at linebacker in the third, Jordan Shepard cornerback, another quarterback in Evans in the fifth, and Mihalik, a 6'9" monster on the defense. I think we drafted well. I really think we drafted well. And initially, I was a bit upset because we hadn't gone for someone like Jalen Strong or Landon Collins, a safety. But looking at this, at the picks we made and the roster we have right now, I still think Dallas is a superior team and they might sweep the division. But there's a huge possibility that we could come second in the division and we could pick up one of the wildcard spots this coming year. We'll have to see how Chip Kelly plays around with the system if Sam Bradford can stay healthy. But I believe in Chip Kelly now. I really think he showed that he's smart. He's addressing the needs. He's not going out and just spending all our players and all our picks on someone that's unproven like Marcus Mariota. Mm-hmm. And by the way, Marcus Mariota is going to be a bust for the Titans.
A bust?
Yeah, he's going to be a bust. I mean, sorry, Titans, you got a lemon with that one. And Jameis Winston might be the same. But no, I believe in Winston.
Okay. Some shots.
Well, all right, well...
Shots without... We should just title this podcast just shots.
Just shots. Just bang, bang, Nathan. Yeah. Bang, bang. What's your end one, bro?
I'd like to just, some soft news, some good news.
No! Keep it hardcore.
Bournemouth FC. On the verge of going out of the NPower League 2 in 08-09 were saved. They were sent a lifeline from the club's president. They got a new owner. Now we see them on the cusp, or if not already, having been promoted into the top division, the Premier League. And as the number that is good to get thrown around, when a team makes the Premier League, it's rumoured to be worth $120 million to that club.
Yep.
Just seeing a club go from that, it reminds me of Southampton a lot. A team that goes from very low in the divisions to just meteorically rise and get into the Premier League.
I mean, if that doesn't make you smile,
exactly.
You don't have a heart.
And they're gonna, exactly. And look, they have a great coach who's going to try and get poached, but he's going to stay with this team through their Premier League.
Ooh, it's a bold prediction, Nate.
And they will, I predict them to smartly transfer, because they've gotten up to the first division, getting smart transfers with their money. And when it, compared to a team like Queen's Park Rangers, who I just think throws money around carelessly, I reckon they'll continue to purchase smartly. They'll do very well in the transfer market, and I predict them to stay up. They're not going to.
They're going to stay in the EPL.
They're going to stay in the EPL. They won't be top 10 or anything like that. But I predict them to do a Southampton. They'll have an impressive, more than people expect them to have.
Right. So you've got them in the mid range then.
In the mid range, anywhere between maybe 10 and 15.
Right.
And that's going way too far ahead. But
so they'll be mediocre like Arsenal.
Yeah, mediocre.
Bang, bang, Nathan.
That may be the most I reckon...
Raj Henny, Adam Chappell, I'm calling you out, boys.
I agree, Arsenal is so that'll do it for the No Regard podcast for week 5.
Huge week next week.
Huge week.
UEFA Champions League midweek. That's got me so hyped, man.
We're going to be halfway through the second round of the playoffs.
Yep.
And if anything this way is going to go by, we're probably going to fight each other.
Right.
You're probably going to hear a live fight on the podcast.
Which will be better than the MGM Grand fight we saw today.
Yeah, exactly. At least one of us will actually try to fight each other.
What's your Twitter handle, Nathan? Let the people know.
Nathan_Bleakley.
I am Marcelo_Lucha.
You can throw your hate or your love.
Just shoot it. Just bang, bang with the hate. We can take
Go follow No Regard Podcast. Go like us on Facebook.
Yep. Just follow us on Instagram.
Exactly.
Do everything.
All right. I'm Nathan Bleakley.
I'm Marcelo Lucha.
And thank you for listening to the No Regard Podcast.